What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Guarani Vision, the first ever podcast dedicated to Paraguayan football in English. As always, I'm Roberto Rojas, and joining me are my two great co-hosts, Fede Perez and Maria Britos. And guys, here we are. It's a new month. We're finally in August. It's hard to believe that we're already past the halfway mark of 2023, but there's obviously been a bunch of football that kind of has never stopped. Obviously, here we are in the middle of obviously the Women's World Cup happening in Australia and New Zealand. We're obviously seeing still MLS happening and other tournaments occurring. Of course, in Europe, obviously the big thing is focusing on our players playing in abroad, and the competition starting there, the Champions League. And then hard to believe, guys, that in about a month's time, and I think exactly a month's time or a little bit after that, the World Cup qualifiers start. Once again, Paraguay will be taking on Peru in Ciudad del Este, the first of 18 games to see who will qualify for the World Cup in Canada, Mexico, and USA. It's going to take a while to say it. 3 countries instead of 1, but obviously we'll get to that in a bit. But obviously we saw some Libertadores actions. We saw some Clausura starting again this time around. And of course, one big debut that we'll be talking about with a certain GOAT in South Beach and, well, I would say Florida in this case, that we'll talk about in a bit. But let's go straight to Paraguay, to Fede, who's, I think, a bit pissed off that his beard hasn't grown as long as it should have. But here we are. It's August. It's been a while since we've been doing this, but the football never stops, obviously. And here we are speaking on the day after a big Copa Libertadores night for featuring Olimpia.
Yes, Roberto, we are back. Hi to you. Hi to Maria. It's great to see you guys. It's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks. Hopefully someone has missed us out of all the audience we have. I know we have so much audience, and I'm really happy about that. We took a short break because most of you guys are on vacations. Up north, it's summer, so I know Roberto's been on a trip. He went to Europe. I know Maria's been enjoying everything that's been happening in Florida. She's been having much stuff going on around her. She had her birthday last week, so happy birthday to her. Ralph is here in Paraguay, so all of you guys got a busy schedule. It's been kind of hard to gather all of us up, and I'm happy that we are here to talk about obviously everything that's been happening here in Paraguay. We had a very important week here because of the games, the Sudamericana, with Guarani, with Libertad, with what happened in Libertadores, with Olimpia playing in Rio de Janeiro, the only team that's still in Libertadores running, trying to get to the final. And obviously, we got to talk about everything that's been happening in the Clausura. Also, we are heading into week 5 already this weekend. Libertad is at top. I don't see anybody, to be honest, at their level at the local tournament right now in the Clausura. We'll see if anybody can really put a fight into what has been right now a year for Libertad, obviously in the Apertura, and trying to do it back-to-back in the Clausura. But the story, I believe, and the one that has touched all our hearts, all the Paraguayans' hearts, has been Diego Gomez. And we're definitely going to talk about him, his journey from San Juan Bautista, Paraguay, to Miami, to Inter Miami, where Maria is pretty close to.
And I want to go into Maria as well and jump in because we'll focus on Diego Gomez in a bit after our show. But I do want to ask, because here we are, it's August 4th. We've already seen the kind of Messi mania. They really take a blaze across not just Florida, but the United States and the world. We're already seeing his 3 games, already scoring 5 goals in that. And, I want to go off topic in a bit, but how have you been dealing with that kind of like storm in a way of just Messi mania? Of course, Busquets is there and Jordi Alba and many others as well, but just, how have you been dealing with it, especially being there in Florida?
Well, it's definitely been a crazy couple of weeks. Hey guys, happy to be back again. And thank you again for, listening to us as always. I have the stadium literally across the street from my house. So I've seen, how crazy it gets around here in my city. And it's just so crazy how one person can create a revolution in MLS here. There's already been talks about how Messi's arrival here has such a good impact in the world of soccer in the United States. As you can tell, the soccer has been already evolutionizing in the US, but with his arrival, it has turned it into a whole new level, and it's just something so big that we still have yet to see the entire impact of everything, not only in the world of football, but tourism, sales, marketing, everything that you can think of. People coming in and from other parts of the city of the country, of the world, to come and live here in Miami just to see him. It's just a crazy thing to see, and I'm happy that I'm able to see this right across my house. So it's crazy.
Well, surely you have to get to a game soon. I mean, you're right there. You might as well just try to sneak in if you know the area well.
If they decide to, lower a little bit the cost of the tickets, I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, well, that's wishful thinking. If the way that Messi's been playing so far, that's kind of wishful thinking on that end. But no, it's good to see. And of course, one Paraguayan that we'll talk about in a bit, talking about just kind of that kind of journey about him going through there is kind of something magical. But let's stick into kind of a magical run in obviously the competitions in South America. So firstly, let's go with what's going on in the Sudamericana, because we do, as Fede mentioned, even though we have one Paraguayan team in the Libertadores, we still have two in the Sudamericana. Obviously, looking into the Sudamericana at the moment, we have Libertad and Guarani, who also played in their kind of separate rounds, to say. Obviously, Guarani taking on Botafogo, the Botafogo side of Matias Segovia, another ex-Guarani player. Obviously, also getting a lot of attention over there, but obviously the results right now in the round of 16 goes as followed, because, of course, Guarani will obviously hope to return a 2-1 deficit. Obviously, it was a bummer for them to not get a draw there. It was a Chiquinho Soares penalty to give Botafogo the 2-1 win. But of course, now they have to go to the Defensores in a couple of days to hopefully see if they can reverse this deficit. As for Libertad, who obviously beat Tigre in the knockout round playoffs 3-1, they are taking on Fortaleza. And unfortunately, they couldn't get the result that they needed at home. They lost on the day to Fortaleza 1-0 in the Defensores. So now they have to go all the way to Brazil to hopefully see if they can reverse the tie. Obviously kind of a pattern in this way, because let's go into what we saw in the Estadio Maracanã at Rio de Janeiro. We had Flamengo taking on Olimpia, a really difficult task, as we saw even when this draw was announced. It was a very, very tight game from all instances. And I want to go to Fede on this one. A Bruno Henrique goal was the one that kind of decided the entire game as a whole. I say game because I definitely didn't decide the entire tie, but Olimpia put up a fight. They definitely put up a fight. Obviously they got dominated in the possession of 75% to 25 for Flamengo, 16 shots on goal compared to 5. So even though Flamengo clearly probably would have had more goals if they wanted to, Olimpia still didn't give up. They probably were a bit let down that they didn't get a penalty call right after the right at the end of the first half that maybe could have gotten them a chance to get a goal, to maybe draw it, and even then. But I think looking at now the next game over there in the Defensores del Chaco, I think there is a lot to play for, and certainly with this is Olimpia side have gone through a lot of changes. Now they are with Chiqui Arce, the ex Cerro Porteño manager, coming back to Olimpia, replacing Diego Aguirre. So this is something that is obviously kind of certainly a circumstance that Chiqui Arce is used to. He's done it at Cerro, he's done it at other clubs as well. But I think, like I said, the way that Olimpia have been playing so far, I think they should feel happy that, they only were able to lose just 1-0, because of course in these type of games, it's super important to, go home now and try to erase the deficit. I think they would have been even better if they had gotten a draw, but now down 1-0, needing to get a goal early over there at Asuncion, I think is crucial. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you saw from Chiqui Arce's side, and if they can achieve, for some, a kind of a miracle and try to dethrone the reigning Libertadores champions.
I think that's the advantage, right, that Olimpia has in this series, that it's going to end up here in Paraguay. That's going to end up right in front of their fans. And they knew they had to come back to Paraguay with a good result. And this is not a bad result, guys, especially seeing how Olimpia has looked in these last couple of games. Let's not forget that Diego Aguirre left the team. They brought in Francisco Arce. This was just his third game managing this team. So he has not had that much time to pretty much put his ideas in the head of these players. So I think it's a good result, and especially just the way Olimpia looked 90 minutes. They look like a sharp team. They look like they knew what they were doing. They had the strategy. They pretty much didn't let Flamengo get in that box too much. Yeah, they shot 16 times, but we saw the best out of Flamengo just in that second half. In the first half, in those first 45 minutes, Olimpia was the team that probably had the best opportunity with Walter Gonzalez putting a ball on the bar, and that was a great opportunity for Olimpia to get on the score sheet and to take the lead on this series. But then it was Flamengo coming from the locker room and scoring right away at that second half, and the game kind of changed there. Olimpia had to try to get something, had to try to get a goal, and obviously not get another one on their goal. So it was very important, I think, just to lose just 1-0 and come back with the feeling that you can turn this situation around, and that you created opportunities. I think it's all positive right now, especially because Flamengo, just as we said after the draw, it was probably the most difficult task that Olimpia could have. It was probably the worst team that Olimpia could have gotten, and yeah, it was going to be really difficult for Olimpia, but I think they played it through. And even though there's been a lot of criticism throughout the season and fingers pointed at certain players, I think they pretty much showed up yesterday against Flamengo, and I'm really proud of what I saw from Olimpia. And I think Olimpia fans should go to the Defensores del Chaco, should sell out the stadium, and should be right by this team because they can do it. I think Flamengo, even though they're the last champion, even though they got so much attacking power, Olimpia can do it. Olimpia can pull out the big surprise, I believe, in this Libertadores. After from what I saw in Maracanã, Maria, are you believing, or are you letting your hand go of this team?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna stay positive for this time around again, Fede, because I think statistically they have been doing good in the round of 16s in the Libertadores, so they have something to hold on to, and I think a lot of positive things are in their favor this time around. They're coming to their home stadium. Their fans are going to be there cheering for them. Like you guys have been saying, this was a good turnaround. It wasn't a win, but it was a good result for Libertadores. For Olimpia. Just 1-0, and it's they have a lot of things that they can work on, that they can work with, and put it towards this game. I want to say a lot of it will have to do with luck this time, because they really did put everything that they could in this game. They had a lot of that VAR that could have been a penalty, was in their favor, but they decided not to call it. Was a little bit of controversy, but it is what it is. So this is why I'm saying, like, a little bit of luck goes a long way sometimes. I think that Olimpia is going through a transition again, with their new manager once again, and it takes time to get used to another manager and their style of playing. So from what I've seen so far, they are doing pretty good, and I think that they were working on the stuff that we have been complaining about for the past couple of years, the defense and all of that. So I think, yeah, it's going to be a good game. At Flamengo, it's a tough competition, and although they statistically also don't do well with Brazilian teams, I think that they could break that this time around and show us that they really can compete and continue forward into this competition.
Now, Fede, I want to go to you on this one, because I think we looked at some of the players on this side that really have been kind of useful for Olimpia during this stage. I'm talking about the likes of a Walter Gonzalez, of a Hugo Fernandez, Marcos Gomez, out of all players, and Richo Ortiz and Tito Torres, Fernando Cardoso. I can go on and on. So, for you, who do you feel should be the ones that should step up in this case? Because Olimpia is a giant, and there's no disrespecting that. We're not here to say that at all. And, playing at home, we've seen that over the years, how that can motivate a team. And we've seen it with Olimpia, so on and so forth. But it has to be better than what we saw last time. And they have to be more direct. And yeah, this Flamengo side have the potential to go at you. And maybe on the day, and maybe I want to be a bit harsh, but I think maybe Flamengo just had a bad day and they didn't score enough that they should have. Like you said, maybe they should have gotten a call on the David Luiz VAR call. But I don't know, man. I just I want to believe in this side. I want to see them do this, but it's just the way that Flamengo play under Sampaoli. I'm just like, I don't know if that could be done. I don't know, man. Like, this is just my general pessimistic feeling, but I don't know what you can see, and maybe they can surprise a lot of people, even Olimpia fans as well.
Everybody knows that Flamengo is the better team. Everybody knows that Flamengo is the last champion. Everybody knows there's a huge difference between the budget that Flamengo manages and the one that Olimpia has this year, with all the problems, financial problems that Olimpia has. And Olimpia doesn't have their star. Let's not forget, Dominic Gonzalez has been out pretty much all year round. And you're asking me for one player to step up. Olimpia does not have that player right now. Olimpia does not have that player that can make the difference. So it has to be a kind of a team effort, I believe, just like it was on this game against Flamengo. That's why I believe it was just a 1-0, because everybody played their hearts out. I think everybody played really well. I mean, there wasn't a bad player on the pitch for Olimpia. Everybody did their job. And I think that's why it was just a 1-0 loss against Flamengo, who, I repeat, it's a better team. But yeah, I think just like you, a lot of people were actually expecting for Flamengo to kind of step on this Olimpia and for it to be a 3-0, 4-0, maybe a little more, because last time we saw these teams face each other, what was it, 2 years ago? Yeah, it was that situation. Flamengo pretty much stepped on Olimpia at Maracanã, and then they did it also, or the other way around, actually. They did it first in Paraguay against Olimpia, their home ground. I think they won by 4 goals or something like that. And then after both games, it was like a 9-1, 9-2 in if you put them all together. So it really looked ugly last time they faced each other. But I do think some of these players, they know that they're on the last game for playing with this shirt. So they're playing their hearts out, and they know that they need to play for the history of Olimpia in the Libertadores, and they can't leave this competition in a shameful way. So I think they're going to fight it, and with the fans by their side, obviously, I do think Olimpia is going to make a run for it. I just don't see where the goals are going to come from, because Roberto Rojas is not scoring. Paiva has been out these last couple of games. I don't know if he's going to be back for the next game, and he was the starting center, the attacking center, the starting 9. So I don't know if he's going to come back for this second game. Bruera has been pretty much a third option for Chiquiasa ever since he's come around. Brian Montenegro is not 100%. That's why he's not starting. So you don't have many options as a forward. So I don't know where the goals are going to come from, and that's what Olimpia needs right now in Defensores del Chaco. They need to score, Roberto. So they're going to have to change the game plan. And yeah, Chiquiasa said it after the game. I know what's going to happen in the next game. I know how we're going to play it. So apparently the coach has the strategy. He's thought about this game a lot these past couple of weeks, and it kind of showed on this first game. That's why I think Olimpia had a good strategy, and they only lost 1-0.
And Maria, that's a good point that Fede had said about Chiquiarse, because in a way, like Fede said, a lot of these players are playing for their history, for the history of Olimpia. But I'm talking even for Chiquiarse, because this has been a manager that we've assessed for. He started his career, 10 years ago, something like around there. So he managed all the big clubs in Paraguay. He's managed the national team. And usually he's always been someone of a nearly man. He's had a great career as a player, and there's no disputing that. But always as a manager, we always feel like he's not achieved that next step. He's won titles at local league, be it Apertura, Clausura, whatever it may be. But he feels like something like this has never been achieved. And I think for him, not just for the sake of Olimpia fans as well, but I think just for him being able to get this kind of win over, like you said, probably the favorites to win this whole tournament, reigning champions, with a better team than all of South America. I mean, this would be for him kind of a way of huge motivation, and perhaps would change a bit of the debate of how people can view Chiquiarse as a manager, because I think he's always been, like I said, kind of a nearly man, maybe someone who isn't that managed of how to work a team properly. But if they're able to get something like this done and then eliminate Flamengo, that changes everything.
I think it's personal for him at this point. Like you said, he's won a lot of Apertura, Clausura tournaments, and to win, the Libertadores, and to bring that back to Olimpia, it's just something that you have to be motivated by as a coach, as a fan, as a player. Anyone that wants to play and wants to win this. And for Chiqui Arce, after leaving in the terms that he did with Cerro and then going to Olimpia, it's something that you have to show, like prove everyone why I'm here, why this happened, and I'm gonna make it happen, So in that sense, yeah, I think it's something that he's definitely gonna be motivated by. I do like his style of coaching and his style of, being a manager himself. He's a strong person, a strong personality, and he always has been someone historical, pretty much, in the world of football in Paraguay. So for Olimpia to be blessed to have them again is definitely something that they shouldn't take for granted. And just having someone that is so motivated and so hardworking like him can also motivate the team. His motivation motivates him, motivates the team and the fans. So yeah, it's a lot of hard work and training and all of that, but also a lot of heart. And I think that really shows with Chiqui Arce. He definitely puts all his heart in the field with his players and his entire staff.
I agree, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm sure it's going to be a packed out, sellout Defensores del Chaco, something that we've always been accustomed to. It's always special. Again, I'm not a Olimpia fan by any stretch of the imagination, but like always seeing those kind of images from years ago, always packed out Defensores. I'd imagine next week is not going to be any different. We're going to see a sellout crowd and maybe an Olimpia team that could again make history. We'll wait and see.
But for you, it's going to be Flamengo that's going to go through.
Yes, I do. I personally I see a better team. I just think the one thing that would go only against Flamengo, I think it's Sampaoli. I don't think he's a manager that likes to always change a lot. And he usually, when he goes for his backup plans, they don't work out. So say Olimpia take the lead and they want to go and try to change something. I can't see that. So that's the only thing that I think can go against Flamengo. If they were to lose, then I think it's because their side is not being able to change differently. So from my estimation and from what I see, again, I hope I'm wrong, but I think Flamengo do it next week in the Defensores. And I'd imagine for both you guys are going for Olimpia in this case. So I'll be the contrarian on that one. But that's just how I feel.
I would actually love to see penalties. I would actually love to see some drama on this series and to end it up that way in front of the Olimpia fans. But yeah, how are you going to stop this Flamengo from scoring again, right? I mean, it was very difficult for Olimpia to stop them. I mean, 16 shots at goal. You're going to have to do another perfect game for that. I think Flamengo has all the odds. I mean, yesterday I was looking at the bets before the game, and I think it was 10-1 or something like that. I mean, the difference the odds are totally for Flamengo. It's going to be a total surprise for Paraguay. It's going to be a huge win for Olimpia fans. Everybody's going to go crazy here in Paraguay if Olimpia can get through in some kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only way, but we'll wait and see. It's going to be fun. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited about that. They're always going to happen. Even if it comes impossible, we've seen it Olimpia done beforehand. Let's see what happens on Thursday, right? If I'm not mistaken, or Wednesday, one of those 2 days. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Sorry, Fede, you were going to say something?
Thursday, same day.
Thursday evening. We're going to see what that's going to be a packed out Sajonia and the Defensor. So let's switch gears to what's also been going on in the Paraguayan League. As bad as Olimpia have been doing as good as they've been doing kind of in the Libertadores, they've been a complete 180 in the Clausura. Currently 4 games in for Olimpia. 3 losses, 1 draw, no wins for them so far. The only team that is unbeaten so far in this Clausura is Libertad. 4 wins out of 4. 11 goals, 3 goals against. Rounding off second place right now is Cerro Porteño with 9 points. So, again, and they only lost 1 game, but so have Resistencia Tacuarembó and General Caballero and Guarani Nacional as well. So there are teams right behind them. But again, the way that they've been starting, I mean, I don't know if Libertad still have to focus on a Sudamericana, which they could obviously reverse, never impossible. But I don't know. I mean, do you see any team reaching Libertad at this stage, or do you feel that for Cerro, who I have to deal with Copa Paraguay as well? They're in that competition. They had to sweat it out the other day, but I think for this case, just the way that they've been starting, they haven't dropped any points yet in 4 games. It seems like Libertad's title to lose.
Yeah, Cerro did not have international games this weekend because they don't have Sudamericana or Libertadores anymore. So they were playing Copa Paraguay against 24 de Septiembre, a team from the countryside, from Areguá, actually. And yeah, it was a 1-1 draw, and it ended up in penalties where John Fernandez again came to the rescue for Cerro Porteño. He saved them a couple of times, and he's important. He's obviously a leader there in the locker room. And after Cerro kind of cleaned that locker room, taking a couple of players out of the team, out of the squad, actually. A couple of important players like Juan Patiño, Espinola, a couple of players that left. And I think the big signing for Cerro Porteño was Cecilio Dominguez. I mean, yeah, we've only seen him once so far. We've only seen him in 1 game. He's actually missed the last 2 games for Cerro Porteño, but everybody wants to see Cecilio. You ask Cerro fans, and they want to go to the games because Cecilio has come back. He's the big idol now. He's the big reference, and I think with the signings, Cerro Porteño has become much better. I mean, Santiago Arzamendia on the left back, Alan Benitez coming back also on the right back, and with Cecilio Dominguez, you got Pachi Carrizo in the midfield, you got Claudio Aquino. This team does look a lot better for this Clausura, and I think they can make a run against Libertad. But somebody has to beat Libertad. They're unbeaten. Nobody has been able to stop them. So for right now, I think Libertad is just sitting on that favorite chair, and it's just waiting for a competition. It's just waiting for something else, because right now nobody has been up to their level, even though they've been changing up players. Because their head is also in Sudamericana. They've been changing up players in the Clausura, but that has not affected them at all. Even they sold Diego Gomez, but they have no trouble replacing him in the midfield either.
I think it's probably a little too early to tell, but I think that Libertad and might get some competition as always from Cerro and from Olimpia, but I don't see anyone else taking the throne right now. There could be a little bit of competition from Olimpia. We have a new manager, and there could be some style changes and some revolution there in the team, but Olimpia is just, Libertad is just so good. They're stacked, they have everything that they need, that they and more, and that's the power of money. They're just out of their league at this point. Last time around, last season, they were at the top of the table the entire time. So I see them going through this once again. Hopefully, there is a little bit more competition, because, we love to see that and rivalries and good games. So, but 4 games in, a little too early to tell. Just so far, I think they're doing pretty good. Four games won out of all of them. It's you can't sometimes you just can't compete with money. So we'll see how it is.
Yeah, I think it's weird because again, 4 games in, 12 points. You think, yeah, this might be done and dusted. It's a wrap. But they could drop points, and mind you, I think that allows other teams to really go in and try to ruin the party. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens, and hopefully even for Cerro's case,
Roberto, This
Yes,
team only lost 3 games in the Apertura. How many has Olimpia already lost?
the same amount
3.
in the
3.
in the
So
same tournament. In the same tournament.
it looks pretty much impossible for Olimpia to catch up. I think it's
Right.
only settled for Porteño, but
Well,
I don't know
that's
what
the
you think.
thing. But that's it. That's the thing. Like for them, it's well, it's more of an obligation. Yeah, of course, Libertad already won something. They have something. Then for them, they want to win more. But for Cedro, they haven't won anything. Mind you, they haven't won anything in 2 years. It's going to be 2 years if they don't win this one. So they need something. If it's not that, it's a Copa Paraguay. And I don't know, man. Like if you're going to sweat it out against a team from Paraguay who, obviously are good in their end, but to sweat it out when you are playing at home and have all this kind of strength and depth better than them makes it difficult, really, man. It really is. And, this isn't anything against Diego Gavilan, who I think is could be a good manager, but they need something. And I think they need this clausura more than anything as well, if they achieve. But again, still early, they still got to play against each other. Still a lot to play for, but we'll wait and see what happens. As we switch gears now to kind of a more personal story for all of us. Like you had said, Fed, at the beginning of the show, we're going to talk about the kind of a really a fairy tale kind of a transfer. And this is someone that we kind of missed out in our last show, but it's Diego Gomez. We talked about Diego Gomez as someone who's been one of those young talents that Libertad have had. He's played a few games already on the national team. He seemed like someone that could make the big jump to a team abroad. And here he is making the jump to no other team but Inter Miami, the Inter Miami side of Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, Lionel Messi, and of course, managed by Tata Martino, which is something that I want to go to you, Fede, because I think that last part is important. This is someone that obviously Tata Martino had in his kind of bookmarked in a way, just like of many young players that he wanted, and 3 of them were Argentine, but there was 1 Paraguayan, and that was Diego Gomez. And I think certainly for him, this was someone that I think trusted him in a similar way. I'm not saying that this might be the same impact, who knows, but the same way that Miguel Miron came to Atlanta United. This was someone that Tata Martino wanted, someone that he scouted, and certainly just kind of a huge turnaround. Like you said, like a kid from San Juan Bautista in Misiones, going from Libertad now to Inter Miami. Made his debut the other day in the Leagues Cup against Orlando City. He only played, I think, 25 minutes, but yeah, even then, from what I saw, he seemed like someone that I think will take some time to adapt. But from first views, I thought he did exceptionally. Like it wasn't perfect, like a 10 out of 10. And what can you do in 20-25 minutes if you're not Lionel Messi? But yeah, he was able to do something. So yeah, but I mean, this has been quite a turnaround for him, and it helps him. I mean, you become the first ever Paraguayan to play alongside Lionel Messi in his career. I mean, that's a huge honor for him. But I think looking at him and looking at the way he plays, I think he's ready for the challenge. I think he's ready to hopefully make his impact.
I thought it was going to take a long time. I thought it was going to take a couple of years at least for another huge story like Julio Enciso's to happen. And it happened right away at the same club. I mean, Julio Enciso left, and who took that spotlight in Libertad? It was Diego Gomez. And ever since Julio Enciso left, I mean, everybody was talking about Diego Gomez here. And where is he going to go now? And he only played for a year in the first division in Paraguay. That's how good he is. That's how much of a difference he made. And that's how much of an impact he caused also in Libertad. I mean, he was champion. Yeah, obviously he started playing because of the under-19 rule last year around. His debut, I believe, was in May of 2022. And look, when he left, pretty much just 1 year later. I mean, it's just crazy how fast everything happened for him. Yeah, he was a Libertad's academy, very young. He came from the countryside, from San Juan Bautista. This is what Libertad does, right? They look at the best players. They search for them. They know how to do this job. They did the same thing with Julio Enciso. They have so many other players that are going to come about. And we're going to talk about them, obviously, as they start to play in Libertad. Also, Diego Gomez is just another one of those stories. And just when everybody was thinking he's going to go to Europe, he's going to have those offers because he's making the difference. He's playing great. He's just 20 years old. And then this offer came. I mean, this call from Miami came. And everybody went nuts. Even Diego Gomez was surprised. Libertad, obviously, because financially it was the offer Libertad wanted. I mean, whatever Libertad was going to ask from Inter Miami, or Inter Miami was going to pay for him, because they wanted this player. Martino wanted this player. And obviously that was huge, because Martino is very linked to Paraguay. He knows pretty much everything that happens here. And he knew that he wanted Diego Gomez. And I think this is just great for Diego. It's just what he needed, a change, leave Paraguay. And he's just 20 years old. So you're expecting something like Miguel Almiron also. You're expecting him to make that leap, to take advantage of the situation. I mean, he's going to play alongside Busquets. He's going to be throwing passes with Messi. He's definitely going to evolve as a player. He's definitely going to grow. I just hope he makes the best of his time in Miami. I think he signed a contract till 2026. That can be extended one more year. So I don't know if we're going to have him long-term in Miami. He's already a national team player. He's always being called up. I think he's going to have a starting role eventually in the team, just because I think he's that good. He's a playmaker. He's an all-around midfielder. This is one of my favorite players lately in the Paraguayan game, and I'm just thrilled about him because he's a humble guy. You saw his whole family there at the airport where he was leaving to Miami. His life has changed completely now, and I'm just so happy for him, just as many people here in Paraguay are, Roberto, because you said it. It's like a fairy tale what's happened to him, and it's just what every Paraguayan player dreams about: leaving the country, being successful, making a lot of money, and playing with the best player. And he's getting it done with just 20 years old. I mean, I envy Diego Gomez. Just what he's living is just the dream.
Yeah, Maria, I don't want to interrupt, but just picture it for a second. Imagine you are 20 years old. You're coming from the countryside, from San Juan Bautista, and in just the span of 2 years, you're playing with, for some, maybe for most people, the greatest player of all time, right there, every day. Not just as a teammate, but also on the pitch as well. And you're managed by someone as well that is super important in Paraguayan football, as we know. Obviously, Tata Martino's impact is not up for debate. But just picture that for a second. I mean, for some, they would be pinching themselves, and I'm sure Diego Gomez is as well. But like Fede said, it's a fairy tale story. And like I said, hopefully now his responsibility is to make us proud, and hopefully he can be an important player, not just in Inter Miami, but for MLS, and then obviously replicate that form, hopefully, for the national team. Like I said, a couple of weeks until the qualifiers start. I'm sure Guillermo Barros Schelotto is looking at him now and seeing his progress. Hopefully that he can get a call up in the next few weeks as well for those first 2 games.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely living the dream right now. Not only moving to Miami, but to a team that is essentially, like I said earlier, revolutionizing the world of football here in the United States. So to be a part of that kind of project is also, a huge step in your own career. And then on top of that, being scouted and being asked for by Tata Martino has to be kind of like an honor in a sense for any player, because Tata Martino has such a successful career in especially in South America and now in MLS. What he did in Atlanta United was absolutely amazing, and it put them in the map. And now he's going to do the same thing with Inter Miami. And aside from all of this, playing next to Messi is just something. Like you guys were saying, something straight out of a storybook. And I think for him to be part of this, it has to be, I guess, a blessing. And I see him already, taking advantage of this situation, because if you guys were able to watch the 25 minutes that he did play, he did make an impact. He had already a good pass in one of those plays. He had, I believe, the first 3 minutes he got already called up by the referee. Making yourself known, putting yourself out there, and I think he's definitely doing that. He's definitely a humble guy, definitely quiet, because when you hear him talk, you can barely hear him. So, but on the pitch, you can see him, and you can definitely know who he is, just by seeing him play. So, yeah, as a 20-year-old. Your life completely changed, and you could have said that people could say yeah, he could have left to Europe, but he left to MLS, and I think that's just as big as leaving to Europe. He might just follow into Miguel Almiron's steps, which, as you guys all know, he went to MLS and then to Europe, not the other way around. And that's something that we also talked about, something that MLS can do for our players is open up doors, bigger doors for our players to Europe. And in terms of the national team, I think this is something that we definitely needed. We need players that are experienced in the bigger world, in the bigger stage, like MLS, Europe. We need players that are known outside of our little country, because we need someone that can have experience with in other kinds of ways of playing, not just the way that we are always used to playing. People with experience, it's just something that I think that Diego can bring home to Paraguay when he gets called up for the national team, and share that knowledge with us, with our team, and hopefully do it for our success and win World Cup qualifier games and take us there, alongside with our other bigger names like Miguel Almiron. So definitely this is something that we got to keep an eye on. He is a player that we're very proud of, and hopefully continues to impress all of us.
You got to call him up, Roberto. I don't know for these first games, but you got to call him up against Argentina at least. I mean, he became the first and only Paraguayan to play alongside Messi.
Yeah,
so he's gonna have the formula. You can know how to stop him now.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it. It's not like a lot of these Paraguayan players who have played in Spain or anything like that, who always have to mark them every week in La Liga. But no, this is different. This is different, and I think not a lot of players have that fortune. But it's difficult to even stop Messi as a whole. Do I expect Gomez to have the formula? Probably not. But no, I think regardless of even him playing with Messi, he's always going to be a player that's going to get called up. I think he's that talented. We'll see if he makes a starting role. We'll see if that's the main thing now. If he's going to be that starter next month in Ciudad del Este against Peru. I mean that's the big one here. So yeah, I'm super excited for him. I can't wait. Obviously, they'll be playing again, I believe, on Wednesday next week, something like that, against FC Dallas. So hopefully he gets a starting role, because he hasn't obviously played, but he hasn't started yet. So maybe he gets that starting role now, and as he continues to build more confidence. I'm actually happy that I'll be able to go to the Inter Miami game against the Red Bulls in a couple of weeks. So I'm excited to hopefully see him, not just him, and Lionel Messi, of course.
Get that Paraguayan flag going, huh?
Of course, but also with the goalkeeper, the one that's been kind of in the talks now for a possible call up in these next few weeks, Carlos Coronel, the goalkeeper for New York Red Bulls. So you got a whole Paraguayan battle there as well that I'm hopefully be able to see it the next month, and that calls right into the qualifier. So yeah, it's super exciting to see, and like I said, we're all rooting for him. Hopefully that he can make the same jump as Miguel did going into Europe, whatever team in the world it could be. But yeah, it's super exciting, and hopefully that he can make us continuously proud in the next few weeks. So obviously another great show to kick off August, another great way to talk about football in our part of the world in Paraguay as we close it off here. For myself, Roberto Rojas, Fede Perez, and Maria Britos, thank you so much for listening in. See you soon.